This video looks at using Adobe Acrobat Professional to create and distribute a form and analyze its responses. In this video, we're going to use Adobe Acrobat Professional's Form Central tool to design, create and distribute online and PDF-based forms. We're going to do this to simulate an evaluation of a project that we might have done as a school. We're going to look at the data collected and see how we can analyze that using Form Central's tools, and we're going to think about some of the teaching and learning opportunities that are available in this process. So to create a form, when we start Acrobat Professional, we get the Tasks menu, and the one we want is on the right hand side, and it's Create Form. We're immediately asked if we'd like to create using a template or from scratch, a blank document, or if we have an existing scanned document that we might want to use. For the purposes of today, we're going to use a template, or we're going to create one from scratch. And when we click Launch, it then launches Form Central. Form Central is an online tool, so it will load and it will show you any forms that you already have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new form, and you will see that there are lots of templates on the left hand side. If we want to do a survey, there are lots of templates there. You can take these and modify them, so it's not like you're using someone else's form and you can't change it, but you can look at all of these templates. If you've seen the one that's pretty close to what you want, for example an event feedback one, you could preview that, have a look at it and say, yep, that pretty much does what I'm looking for, and you could then use that. It previews it in a browser here. If you think, yeah, that's pretty good, you could then close your browser and click Use Template, and you'll be able to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom form, and I'm going to create it from blank, and immediately when we go into Form Central, it tells us the date at the top, the new form we're creating, and asks us to start adding things in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in an image to really brand this form, make it very clear what I'm doing. I'm going to look on my computer. I could look on the web or Flickr or Google, but I'm going to browse files, and here's my project that I was working on earlier, my Model United Nations project. I'm going to open the logo image, and it's going to upload the PNG file and place it at the top of my document. I'd then like to add some text, so I'm going to put MUN project evaluation. Use the typical formatting commands at the top to make this that much bigger. Choose maybe a slightly nice font, something like that, and center it if I want to. Now immediately I can go in and start looking at my text field. I'm going to make a very simple form. I'm going to ask someone their name, so your name, and I can include help text if I want to. It will say, please enter your first and surnames. And the next question I'm going to ask is find out which school they're from. So your school. And I'm just going to start putting in some names of some schools that have been involved in a Model United Nations project. Every time I press enter, it adds a new one. Etc, etc. I've also got the option to include other, but since I know which schools are involved, I'm not going to include that. This is going to be a radio button, so everything is displayed on the screen. Worthwhile thinking about the difference between that and the next sort of question we're going to do, which is going to be a drop down menu, and I'm going to ask the student's age. So your age in years, and I'm going to put 13, 14, oops, excuse me, 14, 15, and let's put 16 just in case. Obviously that looks different on a page, because the teaching and learning thing around this is that does it matter whether you do radio buttons, where they're all visible, like the school question above, or a drop down menu? How does it affect how people interact? And then let's do the typical sort of survey question. We're going to do a rating scale. So a rating scale is, please rate your experience of the MUN project and how it has affected you. So this is a very simple rating. The presets are here. You can do likely, unlikely, worse, better, unsatisfied, bad, good, 1 to 5. But we're going to do strongly agree to strongly disagree, and I'm going to go So those are the rated questions, and it's just a grid which students then click across. And let's just do a single choice field further down here and say to a friend, and we're just going to put yes and no, yes and no. And finally we'll give them the ubiquitous "do you have any other comments?" So this is going to be multiple lines of text. So that's fairly easy to create quite a nice form. We can lay it out quite nicely, we can do all sorts of things. There's various other options to do with how the form works, what happens when it is submitted. If you ask for an email address, then you can send them a response once they've filled it in. But it's a fairly straightforward form, and it's automatically saved. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test the form. The file is saved, so if I click save, it will go into here and it'll give it a new form. So I might say MUN evaluation and click OK, and I can see how this works, but I can do the analysis by filling in the form a few times. Let's just fill it in once. Click on the test button and then click test web form. It launches the form on the web and generates it like this, and I'm going to put my name in, Ian Usher, and I'm going to put in I'm from the Grange and I am 15, 14, and did I enjoy it? Yes I did. No, I did enjoy it actually. I learned a lot. I'm not sure if I feel, and I'm not going to change my future studies. I definitely ring a friend and say thanks. So when I click the submit button, I get a very simple thank you. But I'm now going to fill this in a few more times just to generate some more data so we can look at this in a moment. When I've filled the form in a few times, I can view responses, and I can see then that I've got various people who have filled it in. They have said their names and their ages and various other things. But another tab up here I've got is a summary report. This goes through and shows me in graphical form all of the questions that I have done, and each one has a setting that I can change it. I can do different sorts of graphs, I can do different counts, I can show percentages or not, and if I think about my questions, and as long as they're all logical and they have kind of a similar scale of positive to negative, I can use these colours in this rating section to really give me an idea of the responses, and the colours can speak volumes, whereas you might need to really examine the data if it was in another form. I can save that as a PDF, I can save it as images, and when I click on the responses I can also download that as Excel or PDF. I can also filter them, so I can then say, well actually I only want the ones who are 15 or the ones who are from a particular school, in the same way you can in Excel, but you can do this here and it's very, very useful. I can also distribute a PDF form. So what this does is it takes all that stuff in the online environment and it puts it into a PDF form that someone can fill in offline and then click submit when they have online capabilities. So let's just do this. It's going to save a submission enabled PDF. It's going to save it. I'm just going to save it onto my local drive here. You could distribute this. Person then gets a message, please fill out the following form. I'm going to be Robert Mugabe for the purposes of this. I'm going to come from a particular school, I don't know which one, let's try this one. My age is, again, fictitious, but it's going to be 15. Did I enjoy it? Well, no I didn't. I didn't learn a lot. I probably do know more about global politics, and I probably won't change my studies, so there we go, and I wouldn't recommend this to my friends. Any other comments? And I click submit. Then what happens is Acrobat connects to the internet, submits the form, and when I switch back to Form Central I can see that my entry there in the spreadsheet has come. The other ones came from the web, this one came from the PDF. This is very, very useful because it allows me to distribute it very widely, and I don't require people to be online all the time in order to complete the form, which is a real plus point. So in this video we've looked at using Acrobat Professional's Form Central tool to design, create and distribute forms in both online web-based and PDF-based forms. How we can look at the data that's been collected and do a little bit of analysis and take that on for further analysis in something like Excel by exporting it. And how we can think about the teaching and learning opportunities that are available through this. It's a very rich environment, it looks very professional, so we can encourage students to be professional in the way they think about how they design a form, What does it mean to have different sorts of questions? What does it mean to have closed questions, open questions, when it comes to analysis, when it comes to the ease of use of filling in a form? So hopefully that's been useful, and you can start to use forms and think about their design and think about their distribution in all sorts of ways across your area of the curriculum.